Have you done a lot of therapy? You have all the insight, you have all the tools and theories, and you've done all the kind of things, and it seems like you're still not making very much progress. This video may be for you. So, I'm Alexandra Vrook. I'm ecosomatic therapist, regenerative well-being advocate, and I guide people who are done with constant grind to reconnect with the wisdom of their body towards a more kind of nourishing, grounding, free lives. I see quite often where people come to me that they have any number of kind of solutions, and they try to kind of fix themselves in so many different ways. They tried so many things to kind of resolve their burnout, their overwhelm, their anxiety or depression, and they've not really made any meaningful change. And this is often because those symptoms are not necessarily head type problems. They are body based problems which then they try to solve using the head. So from the perspective of a nervous system, when we see things like anxiety or burnout or this kind of dysregulation or overwhelm, usually what it means that the nervous system is quite dysregulated and it's kind of stuck in this chronic survival. So I talk a lot about this window of capacity, and normally in life we are able to kind of go through the nervous system activation and relaxation and activation and relaxation as we kind of flow through the life, and it's just a very normal kind of way for us to be. But when there is a chronic stress or some kind of previous trauma or this constant pushing, our nervous system can then become kind of really stuck in this high activation and survival mode where we see this kind of fight and flight responses, so anxiety or rage or kind of this general dysregulation and constant kind of running and chasing after things, or that they cross over to this kind of hypoarousal where the collapse start to happen, and then we see this kind of overwhelm, burnout, depression, which also is the other kind of coin of that chronic dysregulation and survival. And this means that those are body-based problems, and we need to approach them rather through our intellect. We need to approach them through the somatic kind of ways. And it's really interesting because recently I am kind of doing a survey of the relationship between the embodiment and burnout, and something that I started to see in the early data is that people who've done a lot of therapy, they have a lot of insight, a lot of kind of understanding. Actually, there seems to be correlation with the level of self-monitoring and self-criticism, which means that all the insight they have actually and all the self-awareness doesn't necessarily serve them to resolve the problem. It just serves them as another kind of tool in the arsenal that they hold against themselves. And so what is actually needed in those situations is to kind of come down to the level of the body and offer the body the presence, the kind of self-holding, soothing. I teach this is one of the most powerful somatic tools, when we just hold ourselves and we do gentle rocking and support the body in showing that kind of safety, that presence, without trying to resolve and fix things, because this is the natural tendency of the mind, right? Resolving the problem. But the body doesn't need resolving, doesn't need further pushing. What body needs is to feel held and to have this presence, to unwind in its own kind of time, with self-compassion, with kindness. And so This is why somatic work can be so powerful a lot of times. Not everybody, but quite often for a lot of people, that's actually what's needed rather than yet another tool or solution. And on my YouTube channel, you can find a lot of embodiment practices that you are welcome to experiment with and try. And the self-soothing is one of the practices there. And sometimes, a supportive, experienced somatic practitioner can be helpful, especially when we have this kind of tendency to be stuck constantly in the mind, which we have because this is what we trained to kind of do for centuries now, right? We tend to prioritize the mind and the intellect and logic as this kind of, the key tool that we have in operating in the world, which means then that we become cut off from our own bodies and our own sensations and feelings as something to dismiss. And working with somatic therapies can be very helpful when we struggle to leave the head behind and actually, get into the body. And again, I see that so often, people, even though I kind of guide them to, become present with their sensations, they actually still telling stories about what's happening rather than actually feeling. But again, this is the role of a somatic therapist to kind of guide you there and allow that kind of release and that kind of holding to actually happen normally and at the speed of the body without further pushing or fixing, right? I think none of us wants to feel like they're being fixed, right? We want to feel held and supported. So if that video resonates, check out the kind of guided practices that I have on my YouTube channel. I also offer a little bit of a freebie today, which is linked down in the description below, which is a free body-led roadmap out of the burnout and disconnection. You can download that if you follow the link. And of course, I am also available for somatic therapy if that's something you want to explore. I also offer a free introductory section. But if not, there is plenty of free resources that I offer as well here on YouTube. So if that video is helpful and you kind of enjoy it and it make you think, please, follow and like and let me know in the comments how that resonates. Thank you very much.